به ومن والاه. Uh, I'm sure that most of you are aware that the internet right now is loaded with it's bid'ah to celebrate the birthday of Prophet Muhammad. No, it's not. It is not. And just it sounds like sometimes like Ramadan. Is it? Do we have to consider the astronomy and the calculation, or has to be we have to see the moon? And every year for the last 45, 60, 46 years I'm here, they keep repeating the same thing. At this point, brothers and sisters, when we look at some of our young brothers and sisters who do not know even the last name of Prophet Muhammad, you say to yourself, any chance that we can get to discuss the beautiful seerah of our beloved Prophet and the companion, let us take advantage of it. To focus on bid'ah or not bid'ah, to me, it's a little bit of waste of time. It's a fiqhi issues, which mean it could be, it could not be, it doesn't matter as long as there's someone that will benefit. And quite frankly, there's so many younger brothers who need to know so many things about their deen, and the fact that Prophet Muhammad's birthday means something to them. All right, let them come, let them hear. All right, this is where I stand on this subject. In the meantime, I want you to know that Prophet Muhammad also died in the same month. Yani this month of Rabi' al-Awwal is the month that the Prophet was born and the month that he died. And he celebrated every Monday because he said, this is a day that I was born in it. How did he celebrate it? By fasting that day. So, just a quick recommendation. It's not sunnah, it's just something came to my mind. If you can fast this coming Monday and make it as some sort of a gift between you and the Prophet because of your birthday, Prophet Muhammad, and you used to fast it, I'm doing it the same thing, then it'll be fine. If not, there is no sunnah or anything like this. Type. We said today, inshallah, we'll be discussing one of the great companion as actually this is the most beloved companion to Prophet Muhammad. Is the sound has an echo? Or is okay? Is okay? Type. This is the most beloved companion ever to Prophet Muhammad, more than anybody else, including Sayyidina Abu Bakr. And his title was Hib Rasulillah. Hib means the love of Prophet Muhammad. And his son, Osama, also Al-Hib ibn al-Hib, the beloved, the son of the beloved. All right? The Prophet Muhammad said, the best generation is mine, and then the following generation, and then the following generation. And he said, my companion like stars. If whoever you follow, you will be guided. My companions are like stars. And today we have one of the stars, Sayyidina Zayd ibn Haritha. Why do we study the seerah of the companion? The seerah of the companion is basically the seerah of the Prophet. Is basically the dissecting of Islam in action. But in the meantime, it makes you feel and live the life of these great companions. And it impacts you either negatively by saying, I'm not too good, I'm far away from this, or positively by saying, I'll do my best to get closer, to improve. Right? So I would rather, inshallah, see that all of us. And when this guy, William Hart, choose the most influential 100 people of great people in the history of mankind, he chose this 100. One of the number one was Prophet Muhammad by far, and his reasoning is he reared so many great leaders after him, and his message expanded more and more by his follower in love with the Prophet and love with the message, right? And nobody ever did this, and the uniqueness is about Sayyidina Muhammad was in this. And of course, our champion of tonight, Sayyidina Zayd, is one of these great companions. Also, we will learn certain things, inshallah, tonight, because the story of Sayyidina Zayd has so many issues that the Orientalist, this researcher that used to attack Islam right and left, they took from the story of Sayyidina Zayd few issues and focused on it. And inshallah, his marriage from Sayyidina Zainab bint Jahsh, it will go over this, what they said about it, and what did they accuse Prophet Muhammad with. And also, Sayyidina Zayd was colored. He has very dark skin. And his son, Usama, also was very dark skinned. How did this particular issue, through Sayyidina Zayd, became one of the greatest ways of eradicating racial discrimination? Don't forget, racial discrimination at this time was at the peak. Slavery was right and left in Europe and in the Arab Peninsula and. How did our great prophet, in this particular time, using this particular man, Sayyidina Zayd, in a short period of time, short number of years, was able to snatch this racism from the hearts of the companion, and the picture was changed drastically after this. So inshallah, this is something that inshallah we'll get to it in a few minutes. Let me just go over the story of Sayyidina Zayd and then start dissecting major issues one by one. But the story of Sayyidina Zayd started like this. He was in a tribe that was good tribe, and his mother decided to go visit her family. She took Zayd, and his father Haritha said he went after them to say goodbye to them, but something was in his heart, something that's unusual, weird in his heart. And then the mother took the son and they went to visit her father's family. And when they got there, a few days later, another tribe raided this area, and they took most of the belongings, camels, sheep, and they took some slaves. One of them became Sayyidina Zayd. How old was he at this time? Was 8 years old. Sayyidina Zayd is born 35 years before Hijrah. Before the Hijrah of the Prophet from Mecca to Medina, that's when Sayyidina Zayd was born. So at age 8, he was taken, and there was a big market called Suq Iqaz. This market, that's where they sell slaves and everything else, even poetry and competition. It was like the biggest market of the area. Then Sayyidina Zayd was sold. Sold to who? To a man. His name is Hakim ibn Huzam ibn Khuwaylid. Is the word Khuwaylid ring the bell? Yes, Khadija bint Khuwaylid. Then the one who bought Zayd is the nephew of Sayyidah Khadija. Then he took everybody and went home. Sayyidah Khadija loved her cousin, her nephew, and she went to welcome him. And then he told her, "Aunt, please, I got quite a few slaves. Come and pick one for yourself." She looked at them, and she looked at Zayd, and she said, "This one." Why? She saw sharpness, intelligence in his eyes. She said, "That's what I want." So she took him. And she went home. A couple of years later, she got married to Prophet Muhammad. And she wants to give him a gift. And the gift is someone that she liked a lot, was Zayd ibn Haritha. Now, the beginning of Zayd is starting to enjoy the decency and the tenderness and the kindness of Prophet Muhammad, who was not a prophet yet. At this time, he was not a prophet. But don't forget, even though he was not a prophet, but he was being prepared. وَلِتُصْنَعَ عَلَى عَيْنِي. You being brought up under my direct supervision. That's what Allah says. Even though he was not a prophet, but he had beautiful values, beautiful kindness and tenderness. Right? So he was a very great person even before becoming a prophet. So Zayd started enjoying this beautiful relationship with his new master. But in the meantime, let us go back to his mother and his father. Her, the people of the Sierra said, like, their eyes did not dry. They kept weeping, crying him all the time, to the point that his mother have a big piece of poetry about her son, and the father have also a big piece of poetry about his son. I'm not going to go over them because also it's hard to translate. So just one verses that I liked. He was saying, when I see the sun coming up, I remember Zayd's face. And when the sun sets, I just live with his memories until the next day when the sun comes up again. So that's how the parents felt. And the mother said something, I just want to know if he's alive in her poetry so I can keep seeking and keep looking, or he is dead, so I start mourning. And just like, it's a very hard feeling for the parents not to know, right? But in the meantime, where are you going to look for him, right? Su'ur Qaz is far away. And whoever bought it, nobody knows who bought it. And where is he? Nobody knows. Until one day during the Hajj season, not the same year, a couple of years later, there was some of his tribes are making tawaf around the Kaaba. At this time, yes, there was no Islam yet, but there was tawaf and Hajj based on what they remember from Sayyidina Ibrahim. So all of a sudden, Zayd became face to face with a couple of people from his tribe. And it was just an emotional reunion. And he told them, don't worry about me, tell my parents I'm in very safe hands. And the couple went back and they told the father. And the father was beside himself. And he decided, he told his uncle, who's his brother, let's get, and they collected huge amount of money to pay Sayyidina Muhammad to take Zayd back. Because obviously, if you buy a slave, then if you want to free it, you have to get paid for that. So they decided, and then they packed up and they went to Mecca, and they told them, where is Muhammad ibn Allah? They said, he's Muhammad ibn Allah, this is his house, this is and that, right? So they realized that, well, he's from a great tribe, he's a great person, his reputation is al-Sadiq al-Amin, the trustworthy, the honest, and they had very good picture about who he is. So they went and they started talking to him in a way to soften his heart. He said, Ya Muhammad, you guys are the people that are the neighbors of the house of Allah. You are the one that your generosity is heard of from far. You are the one that is so and so and so. And he kept praising Prophet Muhammad. And then the Prophet said, okay, what can I do for you? He said, like, Ji'na, we came to pay to take our son. He said, who's your son? Yeah, and he just wants to make sure. He knows what they're talking about. But he wants to make sure that it's not someone coming to claim something. So he said, who's your son? He said, Zayd ibn Haritha. He said, oh, okay, I'll give you a better deal. Keep your money. But here's my offer. I'll bring Zayd. I'll bring Zayd, and I'll give him the choice. If he chooses you over me, you don't have to pay me anything, and take him and go home. But if he decided he wants to stay with me, I cannot let him go. Is that a deal? They said, this is more than generous. This is more than we ever expected. And then the Prophet called Zayd. He said, come, Zayd. Do you know these people? He said, Naam, this is my father Haritha, and this is my uncle so-and-so. He said, okay, they asked him for so-and-so and so, and I said, I give them, you're the one who'd have to choose. He said, I will never choose anyone over being with Muhammad. He looked at the parents, and the parents were beside themselves. And then the father said, Zayd, you choose to be slave over going with your father and your mother and having the tenderness and the warmth of the family. He said, you do not know what kind of man is this man that you're talking about, right? I cannot be away from him, right? And I want to pause for a second here and ask you if this is normal, for anyone that have a loving, caring family and he loves them and then choose another person over his own parents. Is that normal? It's not normal, right? But in the meantime, it requires some analysis. Why is this, right? And if anybody wants to volunteer the answer, would be nice, fine with me. Anybody wants to say, why do you think a person would do this? Obviously, I will answer it. Nobody's saying anything, right? So, you have to understand that a person that's kind and gentle and decent and have inner respect for everybody, regardless. Don't forget, again, Zayd was dark skin. Zayd was short. Zayd, his nose was like the Middle African nose is sunk in. And why would Sayyidina Muhammad just fell in love with this and give him this so much tenderness and kindness that made him go that far? And wallahi, brothers and sisters, there's so much in our life. Each one of us, either a boss at work, each one of us could be in charge of a group, or he is married, or she is a mother, or he is, or she is. Everybody has someone is underneath that's working for or reporting to. And 90% of the time, people will love to be around you if you have a fraction of this quality of Sayyidina Muhammad. This is a fact of life. And if you think that being the tough, the strong, whatever it is, the Prophet said the worst man is the one that when he walks into the house, the wife goes to her room and the children disappear and the servant go out of the house, right? And as soon as he leaves, everybody goes back and sit down together. This is the worst man that the Prophet is talking about. And some of them, especially Arabs, they think to be a macho, when you get in the house, everybody bishar ibta. This is sickness, right? This is not our Prophet. This is not our role model, Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Let me just dwell in this point again about when you are this kind of person, what do you get? Sayyidina Muhammad, Quraysh, when they were fed up with him and they want to have a final decision, what we're going to do with Muhammad, they said, well, let us send a wise older person, which is, one second, Al-Walid ibn al-Mughira. Al-Walid was an older, very respectable person, very wise. And they told him, you have a free hand to cut a deal with Muhammad. If he wants to be the king of Mecca, we will give him the title, the king of Mecca. If he wants to be the richest, we're going to collect from all of us and make him the richest. If he wants women, every tribe will give, he has to go pick the most beautiful women from whatever it is, but just we need to end this situation. So Al-Walid al-Mughira he went to Sayyidina Muhammad and he started the negotiation. And the Prophet listening patiently. And after he's done, he said, أَفَرَغْتَ يَا عَمَّا? Are you finished, my uncle? He said, نعم. He said, then اسمع من ابن أخيك. Listen. He said your nephew, but your nephew is less touchy than the son of your brother. Listen to the son of your brother. Means himself, right? And he started talking to him. And then Al-Walid put his hand on the Prophet Muhammad and he said, look, stop, that's enough, that's enough. And he got up and left. And he went back to Dar al-Nadwa where Quraysh, the leadership, was gathered together. And when they saw him coming, everybody was waiting for him to come. When they saw him coming, they said, Wallahi laqad aada biwajhin ghayra alladhi dhahaba bih. Wallahi, he came back with a face different than the one that he left with. And he sat and said, what is? He said, why didn't you just let him do what he wants to do? If he's a prophet, it's all for us. He will benefit us. He said, if that's why we send you, come to tell us, let him make da'wah, whatever it is. What happened, brother and sister? This decency in the way he talked to Al-Walid made Al-Walid, his heart twist, change, right? This is an ABC of being intelligent, right? Is to be kind and gentle. And Sayyidina Muhammad was like this. Another thing about him, when Sayyidina Hassan ibn Thabit, he was the Prophet's personal poet. And this man was expert in poetry. Before Islam, Quraysh hired him to do what? To have a big poem to destroy the reputation of Prophet Muhammad, right? So he said, okay, he got the money, and then he said, but I don't know who is Muhammad, just show it to me. When they showed him Muhammad, and Muhammad was coming, he said, he got the money, and he went to Quraysh and said, look, no thanks. You want me to say something bad about someone that his face emits light, that his soul makes me, soothes my heart. And he made a point about how beautiful Sayyidina Muhammad is, right? What is this? How did this come? Right? This is basically, brother and sister, if your heart is clean, if your heart is pure, if you're really pure-hearted person, then it will reflect on who you are, right? So that is obviously what situation was Sayyidina Muhammad. Now where we stand now, okay. As Sayyidina Zayd, father and uncle, was leaving, they said they came as very happy that their son they're going to see. And then they became very disappointed where their son said, no, I'm going to stay with Muhammad. But there's something that happened that made them extremely happy again. Prophet Muhammad took them and took Zayd and went to Al-Kaaba. And in Hijr Ismail, the circular part, he called Quraysh. He said, Ya Quraysh, Ushhidukum, you may witness that Zayd is my son, yarithuni wa yarithu. He is my son, he will inherit me. And that is a big deal at this time. A big deal that Zayd, from a slave that nobody knew where he is, to become what? To become the son of the most honorable person in the most honorable tribe. Right? This is a very big deal. So his father and his uncle lived with heart jumping out of happiness. So relieved and relaxed about the future of their son. But they never knew what did that mean. They know that this is a nice guy. They do not know that they left him with the one that the greatest human being that ever walked on earth. They do not know they left him with the one that is going to be the messenger, the final messenger of Allah until the day of judgment, right? They didn't know that, but they know we left him in safe hands, and this is the great thing for us. Type. Here, couple of years, not a year later, the Quran was revealed to say this, to say, "Ud'uuhum li'abaihim huwa aqsatu 'inda Allah." Name them after their parents. This is more fair and just in Allah's books. And that became a very sad day in Sayyidina Zayd's life. Why? He is no longer Zayd ibn Muhammad. He's going to be back Zayd ibn Haritha. And this was something but he's Muslim. He cannot say no or I'm disappointed. But you know what? He accepted the reality, but very sad that his name is not going to be associated with Muhammad. This, it might not look like a big deal to one of us, but you know what? It's a very big deal, because as you all know, now he was the son of the messenger of Allah, right? Now, no more. He's back to Zayd ibn Haritha. But Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is the most just and most merciful. Zayd, the only companion, not Abu Bakr, not Umar, not anybody else, the only companion that his name is mentioned in the Quran. The only companion, right? And that became very big deal that the word Zayd, if you while you're reciting the Quran, the ayah says, وَلَمَّا قَضَى زَيْدٌ مِنْهَا وَطَرًا. When you recite this ayah and you say Zayd, Zayd is 3 letters, right? For every letter there is 10 hasanat. By just mentioning the word Zayd, you are taking 30 hasanat, right? So it's a big deal now. Now, Sayyidina Zayd regained the kind of calmness. Alhamdulillah, yes, I have been cut off from the name Muhammad, but now my name is in the Quran that will be recited by every Muslim until the Day of Judgment, right? And that was a very big reward from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to Sayyidina Zayd. Now, there is so many things that happened to Sayyidina Zayd that needs to be addressed. And each one of them, the Orientalist took advantage of it and started attacking Islam. The first one is when the Quran was revealed, "Ud'uhum li'aba'ihim huwa aqrabu at-taqwa." Name them after their parents, right? The Orientalists said, like, Muhammad used to make mistakes a lot, as if he was not really qualified, right? And the Quran has to correct him. But listen to what the Quran says. Listen to what the Quran was saying. The Quran says, name them after their parents. هُوَ أَقْسَطُ عِنْدَ اللَّهِ. It is more just and fair in Allah's books. Aqsat means you have something fair and something more fair, right? What was fair? In Sayyidina Muhammad to choose to give his name to someone that chose him over his parents. That is fair, right? And that is something that was considered honorable in the society at this time. And that was still honorable to give that until today. But the thing is, what Allah has is much more honorable. Just to give you an example. In the West, when the girl gets married, she takes her husband's name. When she gets divorced and she remarries, she gets another name. If she goes for a 4th time, it will be another name, as if she's a piece of property, right? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, like, no, only the father. She doesn't take a husband name. Same thing with a child. Does not take anybody's name, only his father's name. We have so many things about adoptions kind of thing. This is a different, complicated issue, but the bottom line is, in Islam, when you name someone, name him after his father, regardless if it's a girl or it's a boy or whatever it is. You have to use the father, unless you do not know the father. It's a different fiqh issue. But when they say that Sayyidina Muhammad was making a mistake and the Quran was coming down to correct him, right? The Quran, when do I expect to say you made a mistake? If I tell you, I give you the rule, and you violate the rule, right? But there was no rules here. Sayyidina Muhammad did not have a rule to follow. But the Quran came in and gave something better. And he didn't say, what you did is not fair. He said, what Allah says is more fair. Then that is not what the Orientalists said. The Sayyidina Muhammad used to make mistakes, and the Quran comes, and this is one of them, he's correcting them. That is baloney, right? No, this is not... and there's other issue, which is Prophet Sayyidina Rasulullah married سيدنا زيد to السيدة زينب بنت جحش. زينب بنت جحش, her mother is السيدة صفية, Prophet Muhammad's aunt. So السيدة صفية is the high end of society, and Zayd is considered the low end of society. Why did Prophet Muhammad marry him to Sayyida Zainab? Huh? Is what? Raise your voice.
Because we're all equal.
Yeah, yes, we are all equal, but why he's doing this, right? This is the beginning of tackling the issue of racism, right? This is the beginning, by the way, Sayyidina Muhammad, Sayyidina Muhammad succeeded in few years to eradicate racism among the generation of the companion. And we will show you in a couple of minutes how he did using Sayyidina Zayd. First thing is, he made him marry the high end of society. Sayyida Zainab bint Jahsh. She was very honorable, a Qurashi, a big deal, big shot. And Sayyidina Zayd was Mawla, yani a slave, right? Second thing is, when the Prophet immigrated from Mecca to Medina, he did the so-called al-Mu'akha. Al-Mu'akha means every two became brothers because the immigrants, they lost their family, they are by themselves. So he made the so-called brotherhood in Mu'akha. Who was the brother of Zayd in Medina? Anybody knows? Hamza. And who's Hamza? Prophet's uncle. Who's Prophet's uncle? The high end of society. Hamza is the peak, right? And he is the brother of Zayd, which means that they do things together, they consult with each other, they live in the same place, they look after each other, whatever it is, they keep each other company, and so look the way Prophet Muhammad is doing it, right? And there will be other things down the road, but let me just go over the end of the story. Now, Sayyidina Zayd, there is not one time that the Prophet sent a unit of the army to defend something, do something. If Zayd is in this unit, he will be the leader. And if the Prophet goes someplace and leave the Medina without leadership, Zayd will be in charge of Medina. Right? Think the psychology now. Is it because the Prophet is focusing only, Zayd, we know that he's sharp, we know who's smart, we know that him and the Prophet loved each other more than anything can imagine, right? To the point, Sayyidah Aisha said something very interesting. She said, one day Zayd was in a battlefield and he came. And when he came, he knocked on the door and the Prophet said, who? He said, Zayd. She said the Prophet was sitting with this portion from here up naked, right? She said he grabbed the cover and he ran to the door without covering himself. And I never saw him in my life uncovered except when Zayd was by the door. And he hugged him and embraced him for a while, right? See, this never happened with any other companion. This was not the case with any other companion, right? So obviously, the love for Sayyidina Zayd. What do I do with this? Pay attention. Prophet Muhammad says that لا يؤمن أحدكم, none of you is a genuine believer حتى يكون هواه تبعا لما جئت به. You are not a genuine believer unless you love what I brought with me, right? The Prophet, everyone looks at him. You have to understand this. I'm going to say something that might sound disgusting to you, but it's not. When the Prophet makes wudu, they all run to get the wudu to wipe. Even when he gargles, they still run to this to put around their body, right? So this is how much they love the Prophet. Imagine the psychology when they see the Prophet love someone so much, what this would do to them. This guy is very special, right? Forget about color. Forget about how tall, how short. Because Sayyidina Zayd has two strikes against him. Short and dark skin according to the society, right? But the Prophet raised him to the highest level of the most beloved of the Prophet of Allah, right? And the companions all the time, their eyes on Sayyidina Muhammad, where he's looking at, who he loves, right? And obviously they start looking at Zayd, Zayd. To the point, Zayd married a lady from Ethiopia, her name is Ayman, and his son Osama was darker than him. And but he was the same age like Sayyidina Al-Hassan, who is Prophet Muhammad's grandson. Prophet Muhammad used to put both of them, he sits on the floor, and Al-Hassan on one side and Osama on the other side, right? And he hugs both of them, and he will say, the most beloved to me, right? So his love for Zayd continued to Zayd's son, Osama. To the point, brothers and sisters, that Osama, there was a big event that everybody was concerned about. A woman that's from the high end of society, from a big tribe called Bani Makhzum. She was very rich, very, very prestigious, but she stole something. And everybody know that the Prophet will chop her hand. So if the whole society, the whole Mecca were beside themselves, what we're going to do? In Makhzumiyya, the Prophet's going to chop her hand, because the Prophet doesn't compromise with this issue. You know what they said? They said, we have to send him someone that has so much influence and so much leverage with Prophet Muhammad. You know who he was? Osama. Right? So the society already knows that Osama is at the high end. Right? Did this end with Prophet Muhammad? No, it didn't. After Prophet Muhammad died, Sayyidina Umar he used to give allowances and salaries to the people that were working. So one of them was Abdullah ibn Umar, the son of Sayyidina Umar, who is what? Who is the leader of the Muslim Ummah, right? Abdullah used to, here's your salary. But he realized that Osama is getting more. So he went to Sayyidina Umar, he said, Ya Abata, Dad, how come I get less than Osama? He said, Abu, his father, is more beloved to Prophet Muhammad than your father. And he is more beloved to Prophet Muhammad than you. So don't you understand that he is in a higher ranking? I'll give him more than I give you, right? And this is what? That the companion already realized that forget about color, forget about how tall, how short. This is not the scale. And the scale that hit the Sahaba practically and theoretically is that التقوى هي الميزان. Right? لا فضل لعربي على أعجمي. There is no privilege for Arab over non-Arab, or white over black, or black over white, except with التقوى. Then the tune-up kit theoretically and practically hit the Sahaba, and it became that. And in no time, like when Abdurrahman ibn Auf told Sayyidina Bilal, Ya ibn al-Sawda, you son of a black woman, you know what happened? Sayyidina Bilal got upset, and the Prophet got beside himself, and he told him what? إِنَّكَ امْرُؤٌ فِيكَ جَاهِلِيَّةٌ. You are a man with jahiliyyah in it, ignorance in you. So Sayyidina Abdurrahman put his cheek on the floor, and he said to Bilal, Wallahi, I'm not going to raise my cheek from the ground unless you step on my face. And Sayyidina Bilal, the kind, tender person, bent over and he kissed him and said, like, khalas, you forget about, right, and so on. So in a few years, the generation of the Sahaba was able to get rid of something that deeply rooted in their hearts, which is slavery, racial discrimination. This was eradicated. My question to you, how the United States became the United States of America since 1776, correct? 1776. Until today, racism, racial profiling, racial discrimination is still active and alive and well, right? Why? How come Muhammad was successful, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and here we are failure? Now, could you give him the microphone?
I can just, Sayyidina Muhammad clearly was successful at his time in eradicating. But unfortunately, I think as we all know, our society, Muslim society, still has racism just as bad as Western society.
Right.
We should not, we should be very proud of what happened back when Nabi alayhi salam came. But his message has not carried over
Yeah.
the centuries.
Brother Salah is referring to something important, which was we as a Muslim community, we're drifting away from the tradition and the guidelines of our deen, which is true. But not only in this area, in every other area, right? But my question is, how come Prophet Muhammad was successful in a few years to eradicate this phenomena that was so deeply rooted in the hearts of the people, and we are failure since 1776 to do a good job? All right? Think of this. In Islam, what we do is anything. If I'm dealing with you, it will be you and me and Allah in the middle. All right? And when I mean by Allah is in the middle, Islam is in the middle, Quran is in the middle, Prophet Muhammad is in the middle, that the instruction of our deen is in the middle, right? So it was so easy for them to wipe out drinking liquors in days. As soon as it was revealed it is haram, Medina was flooded with liquor and wine in the streets. We failed in the 30s to have that. We failed as a most progressive nation. We failed. Racism, we still failed. As soon as President Trump started giving some sort of a green light to the white supremacists, they start flourishing, right? As if it's not dead. It is just slightly covered. But in genuine Islam, when the Prophet was successful, because everybody looked at the Prophet's face, who he loved, Zayd. Who is Zayd? Colored, short. Wow, then we have a new definition now, all right? Clear? So if you connect any phenomena with Allah and the Messenger, right, then you're okay. You have good results, right? And that's why, brothers and sisters, when you want to debate any non-Muslim about Islam, don't go for little things. Just go for Allah first, right? If you succeed in getting the oneness of Allah, that's why so many of us say, I talked to him about how beautiful Islam is, and Islam مش عارف agree with the science, Islam, whatever it is. No, Allah said something different. He said, يا أهل الكتاب تعالوا إلى كلمة سواء بيننا وبينكم ألا نعبد إلا الله. Let us get together and agree on one, that we don't worship anybody but Allah. Right? After this, everything we can discuss. Right? But if we agree on the oneness of Allah and He is the one, then we have good ground to. I went to a church, not a church, it's just a congregation of a Christian charity organization, and they want me to give a presentation. And I said, let me focus on, by the way, I do not know how much time I should have. Radwan, how much time? Keep going? You don't care, huh? طيب. Now, 10 minutes? Here's the boss, ضرب على قلبك. طيب. Here, when I start talking to them, I said to myself, I'm not going to let them drag me inside issues. Women مش عارف the oppressed, they have hijab, man has 4 wives مش عارف ايه. I don't want to get into this, right? So I said, let me focus on how much do we have in common, right? And who is Maryam in the Quran? Who is Isa in the Quran? Who is Musa in the Quran? What the Prophet did when he has to send the Muslim who is oppressed to Ethiopia to be with the king who's Christian, who is just whatever it is. And wallahi, the response was so beautiful, right? Especially when I recited what is Maryam in the Quran. Ya Maryam inna Allah astafaki wa taharaki wa astafaki ala nisa'il alameen. This kind of verses touches their heart. They know that this book cannot be against us. This book have tremendous respect for Mary, Jesus, Moses, and Abraham, and everybody. So we have a lot in common, right? So this is very important, and this is a mistake that some of us fall into it when you keep talking about side issues, right? Now, come to the sad part of the story. The death of Sayyidina Zayd. He was born 35 years before Hijrah, and he died 9 years after Hijrah. So altogether it will be mid-40s, right? When the Prophet sent one of his messenger to invite people to Islam. What happened is they took the messenger of the Prophet and they killed him. And this is the first time someone did this to the messenger of the messenger, right? So he got an army of 3,000 people and said, let us go in a place called Mu'tah. This is in Jordan. This portion, or this battle took place in Jordan, a place called Mu'tah. But the Roman, under Herakl, they gathered an army of 100,000, supported by another 200,000. So now you have 300,000 facing 3,000 Muslims, right? So the Muslims said, like, what should we do? Should we call the Prophet, since the Prophet said, like, what do you want us to continue, or because this is a suicidal mission now? Sayyidina Zayd said, look, when the Prophet let the army move, they told them, Zayd would be the leader of the army. Zayd. If Zayd get killed, Ja'far, his cousin. If Ja'far got killed, Abdullah ibn Rawaha. If Abdullah ibn Rawaha get killed, you choose whoever you want. So Sayyidina Zayd had there's something in his heart. The way he was leaving when the Prophet was saying, bidding farewell to him, whatever it is, that he's not going to come back. He had something in his heart. So he said, like, look guys, we never won because of our numbers, right? We just, either we want the Shahada, or we want Allah's pleasure of winning, working for His deen. And the battle started, and Sayyidina Zayd kept fighting like the Roman was stunned about one person, and he got 170 spear in his body. You know this little thing that 170 in his body. And then he fell down in a pool of blood. And then Sayyidina Ja'far took over. He had the same fate. Sayyidina Abdullah ibn Rawaha took over, has the same fate. And then Sayyidina Khalid took over, and he maneuvered the army, and he escaped with the army instead of the disaster of destroying the whole army. When the news came to Sayyidina Muhammad was beside himself. Sayyidina Zayd is the most beloved person that he ever loved in his life. And Sayyidina Ja'far, the Prophet loved him too much to the point in Ghazwat Tabuk, when the Muslim won, he said, I do not know if I'm so happy because we won or because Ja'far is back from Ethiopia, right? And Abdullah ibn Rawaha, I'm not going to get in details, but the thing is, now he lost Zayd and then Ja'far. So he decided to go to Zayd's wife, and he decided to go to Ja'far's wife and tell them. He went to Zayd's wife, so Zayd's daughter, she saw the Prophet coming, she ran to him, and she hugged his neck. She's a little kid, and she kept crying. He was accompanied by, one second. Yeah, he was accompanied by one of the companions, Abdullah ibn Kada. He said, when the girl hugged the Prophet's neck and she kept crying, the Prophet kept weeping like I never saw him. He said, Nahib. Nahib means making a very strong noise, right? Like, not, he said, never ever in Ghazwat Uhud or in any other occasion, I saw the Prophet making not Nahib, which is deep weeping, like that particular day. And then he told him, Ya Rasulullah, what's it for? He said, I'll tell you exactly what he said. He said, هذا بكاء الحبيب على حبيبه. This is the weeping of the one who loves someone else that much, right? And this was one of the most difficult days on Sayyidina Muhammad, right? The Sahaba understand that. They understand that. And the treatment of Sayyidina Osama and his family after this, it was, you the elite. So Islam took them from being at the bottom of the barrel to being the elite, right? So if anyone has a comment or wants to ask a question, whatever it is, we have 5 minutes. I don't care what you said. You have 5 minutes, right? No questions?
So what are some practical steps that we can take as a community to help us, have this brotherhood that Prophet Muhammad put in the community? What's some practical steps that we can do to help us establish that?
Wallahi, this is a very beautiful question and very deep too, right? The brother is asking, how can, as a community, have practical step to develop this spirit of brotherhood and sisterhood that was prevailing during Sayyidina Muhammad time, right? Wallahi, even though it sounds like difficult, it is so simple. Ask yourself, what made them love each other that much? What made them sacrifice to the point in one ghazwa, Sayyidah Aisha says, in Ghazwat Uhud there was so many wounded people. So she went with the water to one of them. He said, give the water to my brother. He needs it more. And then she went to him. He said, no, give it to my brother. She went to him, said, no, give it to my brother. And when she went back to the first one, he died, and he died, right? So, وَيَأْثِرُونَ عَلَىٰ أَنفُسِهِمْ. Why? Because there's something in our deen, it's called al-hubb fillah. Al-hubb fillah, when I love you and you love me for Allah. Because when you are down, I'm here to lift you up. When I'm down, you're here to lift me up. If I do something wrong, you come and remind me. If you do something wrong, I remind you. When we're going through some financial or emotional difficulty, I don't shut my phone off. No, I come to you. I don't wait for you to, whatever it is. If we start practicing this, right, little by little, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will be pleased. And if Allah is pleased with a community, right, the Prophet said, Yadullahi ma'al jama'ah, Allah's hand will be with this particular group. And if Allah's hand was any particular group, this group, the sky is the limit of how much they can achieve, right? I saw certain masajid, I have friends in so many masajid. They tell me, alhamdulillah, our community are so and so. It's just wonderful to be here. Actually, we advise you to move in our area. We have a community in Texas. This is so and so. Marvelous people, whatever it is. Mixed community. Everybody wants to volunteer. Everybody wishes. This kind of a spirit is possible. But what kills the spirit is is this. Right? Once we start talking about each other, once we start criticizing and everyone has this and that, right? Then the shaitan comes in and destroy the bonds among each other, right? So once we start disputing about every issue, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will put the furqa, the division among in our hearts. عشان كده the Quran says وَلَا تَنَزَعُوا فَتَفْشَلُوا وَتَذْهَبَ رِيحُكُم. Don't start disputes. Dispute will give you failure and your wind will subside. What that mean? Your ability to change, wind is your ability to change things and to move things around. It will subside and you'll be ineffective society. Right? يعني all the time I look at Brother Salah Mustafa, and he has been trying for so long to get so many of the young generation to get into politics, to start being involved, right? What is stopping us, right? Brother Salah did it for 10 years, 15, 20, right? But who's going to take over? But in the meantime, what is stopping every brother from saying, yes, we are with you, whatever it is, right? We focus on the mata' dunya, what is the pleasure in this dunya, and ignoring the great pleasure of being in Jannah, right? We need to reconsider. We need to get back to the masajid. We need to rally around our masajid and see what should we do. Yani this masjid is a responsibility of everybody sitting here. How can we make this masjid a beacon of light for everyone around us? How can all this stuff is our responsibility, right? Any other question? خلاص عمي شيخ تفضل. جزاكم الله خير for listening.
Jazakallah khair, Ammu Fikry. Always, mashallah, it's always great to hear from Ammu Fikry. Thank you very much, everyone, for attending, inshallah. We still have the last part of every community hub, which is the socializing time. We have some tea outside over here on the right, or your left for the brothers, and we have some tea on your right for the sisters. I encourage everyone to stick around for as long as they can, get to know some of the brothers. If there's a brother over here that you don't know, that his face isn't familiar, make it purposeful to reach out to them, inshallah, and get to know them. Jazakumullah khair. Assalamu alaikum.